Welcome to Now About the James Bill. Hope you're well, thanks for joining me. It's time to get cracking it again on this worktop here. I've got to put the LEDs on the underside. This is the channel to take in the LEDs. So I've got that much to play with. It's about 5mm deep, I think, the depth of that channel. So this is my way to fix them. The reason I want lights on the underneath of this is obviously quite a trend in domestic kitchens, is to have the light shining down, kind of gives the galley a nice look. And when I've used LED strip lights on Slow Patrol, I use this diffuser strip stuff, which is from Screwfix. It's about £10 a metre. And there's a aluminium bar that you put down there. You glue or stick the LEDs into it, and then you slide that on, and then this kind of keeps it all nicely in place. The LEDs can't fall down, but also that diffuses it, so you don't get all the dots. But the LEDs I've bought, which are over here, are actually dotless. So these ones shouldn't produce any dots, but I'm also going to want it diffused because it kind of just makes the light nicer. But I was always thinking, like, certainly around the curves, I don't really know how I'm going to get one of those diffuser strips in. So I was looking at different ways of doing it. But I've now made up my mind that I'm just going to lay the LED strips into there and then fill that void with resin. And then I can, what that'll do is two things. It will mean that on the underneath, when you're touching this bit here, you won't feel any ridges. I can make it perfectly flat. But it also means that the resin could be frosted, which would then diffuse it slightly. These are not coloured LEDs, so I'm just going for, these are soft white, but they're pretty bright, so I'm hoping this is going to be enough. I bought a few different lengths of cable. So the connectors, I presume you can connect it at any end. That's quite a nice connector, so I might lop off the end of this one. I think you can cut them anywhere. Just want to work it out for distance. This is a 5-metre reel, so this one should be enough. Yeah, not by much though. Cool, let's get that in. Right, there's a few things I want to check before I put these in. Firstly, I want to check whether they work. I bought these on AliExpress, so it took me ages to find ones which weren't like 2 centimetres in length, but still, there's no guarantee these things will work. So I'm just gonna set something up to power it up and see what happens. I also want to see where I can trim it, because it's got 2 power ends. It's got that one, which is quite a nice connection. So let's just plug this in and see what happens when it works. So there's power coming out the end there. So let's see, if I just cut it somewhere, do I lose everything? No. Cool, right, don't need that bit. Happy days. Now I can put it in, and then the other thing I need to test is whether, once the resin's been poured over it, basically whether the resin's going to eat it all. But you can see they're kind of dotless, because I mean, I can see up close they've got dots, but they are tiny, so it appears pretty dotless. That's quite nice. That's going to work. Right. The connection's going to be on this side, because that's quite easy to power up from there, and it's going to be more hidden by the reflex stove and the fireplace around than the bit by the entrance. This is one of these things which is taking a lot longer than I thought. Getting these LEDs to run flat and true in this routed channel, which isn't particularly flat and true, is tricky, certainly around these curves. So I'm going to take my time on this, and I thought I'd fill the time by thanking everyone who got involved in a recent raffle that I held on this channel. The prize of the raffle was to win a weekend on board Slow Patrol, really just to celebrate the fact that Slow Patrol is eventually finished, looking her best, in tip-top shape, and obviously as it's the summer, I thought it'd be a nice thing for a subscriber to come down and have the weekend with me. And I announced on the channel a couple of weeks ago that Dave won that. I've contacted Dave and we've got that weekend all booked up in the future, which is absolutely great. So looking forward to that.
There was 20 mugs up for grabs as well, and I've spoken to most of the winners of them. Most of them have been shipped. There's a few yet to go. I've had a bit of a... It's tricky doing that with the girls, to be honest. I need to kind of concentrate, and they don't let me do that. But I also said that I wanted to kind of give a general invite to anyone that entered the raffle that didn't win and did really fancy a weekend on board Slow Patrol, or even it's just a lunch or a change of scenery, a cruise or whatever it was. And I put my email address on the screen, and I had about 10 people contact me from around the country saying, yeah, I kind of did fancy that, and I am a bit gutted I've missed out. And so I'm glad to say that I've managed to accommodate everyone on there. I've had 3 people come down for cruises. I've had a couple of people come down and basically spend the day with me and the kids, which has been lovely. I've had a couple of people come down just for a lunch. And yeah, so that's been really nice. And 2 people just come down for a coffee and a chat. So I've been kind of touched by that, and hopefully everyone's kind of got something out of this that they wanted to. In total, 280 people got involved in the raffle. So thank you so much. It was a bit of fun, something to give back and kind of celebrate the fact the Slow Patrol's all done. But yeah, so thank you so much to everyone getting involved. Right, back to it. So you'll see it's in, obviously, but around the corners there, it's not very, it's kind of a bit bumpy and things, and the actual channel's not particularly level. So I'm kind of thinking that if it was just going to be left stuck down, it probably, that sticky tape would probably fail anyway at some point. But that's why I'm going to do the way I'm going to do it. So what I've got to do now is put a little bit of cork at the end just to dam it there, and maybe some duct tape or something, and then the same at this end here to stop all the resin flowing out. I've just got to make sure this is full all the way around this channel so it's nice and flush. So when you run your hands on the underneath of it up to there, this is where the cupboard is on that line there, so there's about 1 inch there to play with. I want that all to be completely flat and nice and smooth to touch. Right, let's mix up some resin. Here we go, this is looking cool as. Right, I've tested it all works. I've put the dams on, so I'm hoping that the resin's going to be kind of all right in that little spot there. And then done the other one on this side. Right, let's mix up some resin and see if the resin burns through this. I've made up my resin, and all I've really got to do is pour this in. So I don't want to kind of overfill it, but it should all find its level really. And I didn't really know much quantity to make up. I've realised I've made nowhere near enough. It's really hard to work out how much is kind of going into this. It's quite hard to see. There you go, see it's self-leveling. Okay, I think I might actually have enough to do this run. I'm going to go back and top up some lower bits in a sec.
I'm going to turn them on and see if that helps with the visibility. No, it does not help, but that looks cool as you like. So far the resin hasn't eaten the LEDs, they all work. Check out what it's doing, that is so cool. Yeah, I'm liking that look. I don't know if you can see what I mean, it's really quite hard to tell how full that channel is now without dipping my phone into the actual resin. Obviously it's self-leveling. So I reckon that's quite full. Right, let's carry on. But in some parts it really does not look like the LED is kind of 5-6 mil under the surface. Right, I'm going to let that go off. Right, I've just had to come along and prod that down because it had come up in that space there. It was sticking proud of it, so I've kind of squidged it back down. Same there, actually that's coming down again. This is not ideal at all because the resin's pretty much gone off. So I'm kind of damaging the surface of the resin by trying to get this down. But it will still, well, I'm hoping the resin might still actually self-level a little bit just by tucking that in. And it looks dreadful at the minute. Obviously I can sand back the resin, that's no problem. And again, there's another one there. I think that's all pretty flat now. Yeah, I think that's all right. But they still work, the resin has not burnt it. So when this is all set, I can dry it, I can sand it back and be done with it. All right, leave it alone. Yeah, see this resin here now is really quite soft, so if I can get it to focus. You see it squidging, so I can kind of manipulate it into shape there. That's quite nice. But yeah, the LEDs are kind of quite well encased in that now. Yeah, that's pretty smooth all the way along. Got a bit of sanding to do. This is the bit that I kind of really mucked around with by squidging it back in. And it looks all right. Again, a bit more around there, but all this will be sanded back, and I'm hoping it's going to have worked. But I'll plug it in and show you what it looks like. It's quite loud and bright, like ridiculously so. The other thing is that it's a little bit thirsty. 35 watts just for one side of the galley. So this is going to be for like display and, you know, showing off. I'm not going to have this on all the time because it's going to drain my batteries. But I'm well happy with how that looks. That's cool. Decent choice of LED lights they are. It's kind of giving me some ideas for other things I can do, but yeah, I'm loving that. This has had over a day to go off, so this is pretty well set, all this resin. It's all pretty good. It's a bit lumpy in some bits where I have to poke it down again, so I'm going to go and flatten it all off with the sandpaper and see what it's left with. Obviously that is going to make it matte, so it's kind of going to diffuse it essentially, because it's going to frost the resin, which is no bad thing. But then I can have a look and see what it looks like afterwards. That hasn't quite set properly there. Well, it has, but the cable's a little bit proud, so don't think there's much I can do about that, to be honest. Right, let's sand this back.
This video has taken a bit of time in getting out, and I'm sorry about that. There's been a few reasons. I've had the girls, it's a school holiday, so I've had my two daughters who are 7 and 5 on board with me. It's been really, really nice to having Slow Patrol finished, and in the condition and the way she is, to have them on board is lovely. They obviously enjoy it much more. It's way easier for me because everything's in its place and it's all kind of neat and tidy. So yeah, we've really enjoyed that. The eagle eye amongst you will notice that the boat is currently moored in Berkhamsted. It's easier for me and them, to be honest. They are constantly requiring snacks, like 30 times a day. So I need to be really near bakeries and Tesco's and places like that. So, and parks. So yeah, we're down in Berkhamsted, which is nice. The other reason why the video's taken a bit of time coming out is because I did want to kind of get these kitchen worktops pretty much done and out the way, and I can move on with something else on the boat. So to do that, I needed these LED strips, and I bought these on AliExpress, as I mentioned earlier. I saw them as a advertiser on the Euros, and I thought, I'll see what it's all about. And I was amazed at how tricky it is to buy the product you actually want. So my advice to anyone who hasn't used it is to be very careful with what you purchase. There are LED strips there, they say 5mm, and you assume that's width, but it's not, it's length. These ones though, after a lot of shopping around and being careful, are brilliant. These ones cost £1.12, so it really is insane value. Although I felt pretty bad, my carbon footprint alarm was kind of beeping away because I did get the sense that the 5 products I purchased came on 5 different ships, and it took a few weeks to get here, but they're here and they're in. Let's carry on. That doesn't quite look as how I thought it was going to, but it kind of does at the same breath. You're only really going to feel that part. This is all going to be covered with the top coat which goes on. So all those bits now, you can see the timber coming through again. That's all going to be covered up again. You can see it quite clearly there. But the actual LED looks pretty well diffused now. This is definitely the best bit. So I think I might only show you this. No, I'll show you the ship bits as well. So that's a little bit lumpy. It kind of dips a little bit in there, so you'll definitely be able to feel that. So I could fill a bit more resin in maybe. This hasn't really frosted at all, so I think I might have to go on with just with some hand sandpaper on that. And yeah, again here, this hasn't really frosted that much. So I'm going to keep going with this, but it's kind of all right. Let's see if it works with the power on. Yeah, it looks a little bit kind of more frosted than it was. Like that bit there, you can actually bear to see it now, whereas before you couldn't really look at that. So that's kind of worked quite nicely. Yeah, right, let's offer it up and see what it looks like in place. It does look really good on the underneath. It works really well, that. It feels good, but the LEDs are all there and you can't feel it at all. When that's all covered in the epoxy, that's going to be, yeah, that is so much better than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, that is fantastic. Right, let's plug them in and see what the light is. Actually, I might have to wait for it to become a bit darker. Okay, it's quite dark. Let's turn these on. There we go. I don't know how the camera's picking it up, but in the flesh, it looks absolutely brilliant. It feels amazing. I mean, the bits where it's perfectly flush is just outstanding. It gives a lot more light than I was anticipating, to be honest. You know, it doesn't just illuminate down there. It kind of really does illuminate, but yeah, I'm well chuffed with that. It really kind of enhances the shape of the unit itself, and certainly these curves, it really kind of emphasizes those nicely. So yeah, that is cool as. I'm chuffed with how that's come out, to be honest. Obviously I've still got to do the same on the other side, which is going to really kind of make it nice and bright. A couple of things I was a little bit nervous about. wattage using this power bank seems to be kind of half what it was on the other one, so I'm not too sure why that is. I was using the 12 volt cigarette lighter thing on both of them, and also it's not warming up that much. I mean, it's hardly, it's not warming up at all really. Earlier I had it on for about 45 minutes and you could feel there was warmth there, but not much. So yeah, that is damn good. Right, I'm going to tidy up in here and sort this place out, ready for that side tomorrow. Yeah, from the outside of the boat as well, it kind of makes it look pretty classy in there. Right, that's it. Much less of a wait until the next video. Sorry about that, guys. Thanks for watching. Happy days. Through Graham's hatch.